guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. We have fewer videos to talk about today just because we had the Thanksgiving holiday, which I hope you all had a great one, and we had the after Thanksgiving sale, which was insane. You guys are just so awesome in your support. In fact, we went down there, I can't remember what day that was. Was it Friday that we went down?
It was in this group of questions.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was that Friday later on in the morning, and Ken had told us that like right at midnight, orders just started flooding in. And he said he went to bed at about 2, and they were still coming in. So that's just amazing, you guys. It's always so fun to see something like that happen. And then you get to learn too about the things that people want, the things that you guys want and what interests you. And that's always enlightening. So anyway, let's jump into the videos from this past week. The first one was planting our first crop of perennials from seed and making clove orange pomanders. So I started 3 flats of perennials, and it's really early to be doing that. But what my goal is to have them up and like potted up into larger containers, and I want larger plants to put out. The problem that we have when I plant a 72 cell tray of perennials, and if I don't pot them up and make them a little bit bigger and then plant them out in the landscape, their root systems are so itty bitty. And our drip system, like it's very hard to get an emitter directly by every plant. So if you have a larger, more established root system that can like, I don't know, just take up more space and maybe reach the water, we have a better time with them surviving. It's just really hard to be like, here, 72 little itty bitty plugs planted in the ground this far apart from one another. Can you drip those in, Paul? And he's probably like, oh. So I want some nice, big, robust plants, like the types that you would pick up at the garden center early on in the spring. I don't know when they start theirs, from either tissue culture or seed, but theirs look really nice and big. That's my goal. And I've got 4 little echinacea seedlings so far. So we did echinacea purpurea, which is the classic purple coneflower. We did teucrium, common name is germander, I think, and then some columbine, the pink petticoat. And then we went into the Hartley. Oh, we also did some poppy seed scattering. That's not in the title. My mom came over to do the clove orange pomanders, but she got in on the poppy seed.
Do you think that'll work?
Spread. I don't know. I just thought, what? I can't remember, was it Darlene who sent us the seed? And it was a huge amount of seed. Yeah. And I just thought, this is my chance.
I wonder what was on that hill, because there's clearly all those sprinklers that, the risers are still coming up out of the ground.
Right.
So somebody was growing something
at some point.
I don't know if it was just, feed for cows or horses or pigs or...
Well, the horses that they had, that's largely where they lived, was on that hillside.
Yeah.
It always made me feel a little bit bad. They only had like a tiny bit of flat land, just tiny up to that fence.
Yeah. Horses aren't supposed to, you don't want them to live on like a hill, right?
I don't know.
No. I don't know. Maybe they're fine.
It didn't seem ideal to me, but
maybe they're mountain horses.
Maybe they are. Anyway, so we just took handfuls of the poppy seed and just scattered them out on the hillside, hoping that the winter and spring moisture can bring them up. And I don't know. I think they're going to get enough light on that hillside. It is north facing. But this side of it doesn't have any trees or anything blocking it. And I feel like it's exposed enough, like the hill isn't as steep right there as it is on the other side. So I'm hoping it's like enough that it gets a little bit of light. It's bright over there for sure. So anyway, Slammer83AZ said, what happened to the last time you tried to winter sow poppy seeds in the orchard? Did I try to put poppy seeds in the orchard? I don't remember doing that. I do remember putting poppy seeds over the snow because I've seen people do that method out in the garden, but kind of the same situation like with our little plant plugs. It's almost even harder when you've got little sections where you've put seed and then you have to try to like flag those areas off so nobody walks in them and so nobody weeds them. And as you guys know, we've got like some good weed patrol around here. And unless you have explicitly marked something off or said that it might be coming up right there, it gets weeded.
Oh, yeah.
That could have happened.
Sure.
Because you know how I marked them off? Because I didn't know there was no way to get stakes in the ground.
Did you just put your heel in the ground and
No,
walk around?
I put bamboo stakes on top of the snow, hoping that as it melted, the bamboo stakes would just sink. and I think they kind of did, but it just looked like sticks willy-nilly on the ground.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a super great method, but I don't know how I couldn't get anything in the ground. Sure. So it was like, this is an experiment. That's what I call everything that might fail. Because it is. Miss Ash Mama said that urn arrangement is wonderful. I took the time to show my nieces how to do that. I think that will be my holiday table decor. Is there a special name for that urn design? Great lines. I think about it. I'm like, what urn is she talking about? It's that little iron urn that I put the greens and then the pomanders on top. Mm-hmm. I don't know where that urn, like the brand of it. It didn't have a brand tag on it. My parents had them down at the garden center. I don't think they've got them currently, but they'll probably be bringing more in. So if you're like super interested in it, you could contact them, andrewseed@gmail.com, and ask them some more information. And they do ship stuff too. That would be a heavy thing to ship.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all kinds of beautiful vessels you can put that sort of arrangement in. I did it on a low tray. Like the kind you would set out on a coffee table with things in it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I did it in one of those once, and I did greens, and then I worked some candlestick holders in there, and then the orange pomanders under it, and that was really pretty, I thought. Ella said, could you tell me what mix is used to plant the seeds, please, and what is the proportion of each component? I do not make my own seed starting mix. I use Espoma's seed starting mix. It makes it super easy. I've never really been interested in making my own mix, so it works out great for me.
Well, you have to keep a lot of those materials on hand. Uh-huh. Like you have to have them somewhere.
Right.
So you're going to have like on the scale that we're doing it, you have to have large
like piles.
Or like what are those bags that you get that are on like pallets?
Oh, the totes.
Or like the totes that you move around with. That's kind of almost what we would need.
Right.
I don't really feel like that's practical having those totes around. Maybe. I mean, you could but then you got to mix it every time.
Yeah.
Every time you want more.
And I know, everybody enjoys different things. So that might be part of somebody's process that they really enjoy.
Sure.
I don't enjoy stuff like that. I enjoy convenience.
Yeah.
Especially with what we're doing. Like it's got to be convenient. Otherwise it becomes a chore, and we don't need chores. We need it to be convenient and fun and pleasant as much as possible. Gail said, what are your thoughts about pouring boiling water on the potting soil before you pot up to kill fungus gnats? You could do that, I suppose. I'm sure that would
I've heard a lot of people
bake their
talk
soil.
about that, yeah.
Yeah. I've never done that either.
Just keep buying
So far, so good with the natural. And I did put the little yellow sticky tags because even before I put those in here, we noticed, like in the last few recaps, like I think you caught a gnat last time. There was like the random gnat in here.
Yeah.
And if you have the random gnat, it will become the big problem in the future when you've got like beds of really moist soil. So I have caught a couple of fungus gnats on the sticky traps, but like I opened the lids this morning and there's nothing flying in there. And when you have a problem, you'll see gnats flying. So far, so good. Kim Diane said, can you give us a list of flower seeds you are starting and when to start them? You know what? I don't even actually know what I'm starting exactly. It kind of is whatever strikes my fancy at the time. I usually have no plan really for anything, which can be good and bad. I am working on my seed inventory right now. I've made it through the big boxes and baskets of seeds that I went through last year, and there was like part packets left or whatever. I went through all of that and re-inventoried all of that and have given a bunch away, and I've got another pile to give away of duplicates or like extras I don't need or varieties I'm not super interested in. Sometimes we'll get sent seeds, or I'll accidentally like repurchase a seed that I already have on accident. That doesn't happen all that often. I keep my inventory pretty squared away, but it's pretty big, so I'm looking over at it right now. There are 6 tubs of seeds plus the big box that I re-inventoried inside. I need to do these tubs and then incorporate all those other seeds in. Anyway, I'll maybe have a little bit better idea after I go through all of that. But at some point I will share, once the inventory is updated, I'll share my spreadsheet, which I have before, and show you how I organize it. And it's all color-coded based on how many weeks you need to start it before your average last frost date. I find it fairly helpful. I'm always revamping it too. Like if some information just doesn't matter to me anymore, like what did I have? I had a column for something, and the column I never even filled out.
Oh.
Maybe it was like what year I purchased the seed, or because that can matter in germination rates sometimes, but I never fill that in because nah. Jennifer said, can you give us the technical details on your grow lights that don't need to be raised and lowered? I have a cabinet already, but would love to replace the lights and not have to adjust them. You can find all the information you need on those lights at Gardener Supply. I think it's gardeners.com.
Can you buy them elsewhere?
I don't know. But you might be able to replicate. I'm sure that they share details
I wonder.
On their website of what those are. They're the high efficiency, high output LED lights. And I'm sure they've got like specs.
I seem to remember looking on their website at one point, trying to find
so
what
that
the
maybe
specs
people
were.
couldn't duplicate it.
I don't think that they actually have that information there, because I want to say that I tried that at one time. because I was also looking for, okay, like what's like, give me a link that's not Gardener Supply that, you know, like, can I go to Home Depot and pick them up? Can I go to Lowe's? Do I need to go to a lighting store? Like, does Amazon have them?
You can just order them from Gardener Supply. I mean, they'll send out the tubes, the light tubes. You don't have to buy the fixture or anything like that. At least that was how it used to be. I don't know. I haven't been on their website for a while. Lali Cardoza said, I started my echinacea last week for the first time using your winter sowing method in milk jugs. Last year I started too early and they got leggy because the ground wasn't ready. How can I prevent that this year? Put into bigger pots. It's exciting to be starting seeds again. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with how early you put the seed in the ground, because if you think about it, like what it does in nature, you know, the plants, they bloom, they set their seed, and then the seeds like kind of fall apart off of the top and drop on the ground. They sit there from fall all the way through spring till it's warm enough. And that's kind of what the milk jug method does. It keeps them a slight bit warmer than, you know, the ambient temperature outside, so you might get a little bit of a jump on when they germinate. I think most of it has to do with the amount of light they get. So they need to be in a super bright spot, and they also need to be not so thickly planted that they're going to be a gangly mess by the time you need to tear them apart. So there are some years where I will just, instead of like sprinkling the seeds in very thickly, I'll actually make I'll treat it kind of like it's a seed starting cells, and I'll do like 9 little holes. And I've started 9 plants in one milk jug, which I think is still pretty good. It gives them plenty of room for light and air, that kind of thing, so that they're not so thick. So I think those two things, having a lot of light and having enough space, is going to be your biggest thing. Not when you start them, and not for winter sowing anyway. My method, definitely have to make sure you got strong light and that you've got, you know, pots ready, like to pot them up as soon as they need to be bumped up. Sherry said, I'd love to do more seed starting this year. Question, is it possible to skip the step of planting in the seed starting cells and sow directly into 4-inch pots? If I were planting outside, the seeds would not be confined in such a small space. Thanks for the video. You absolutely could do that. For me, it's grow light space. I start the seeds in here. I can start them in a very condensed amount of space, and then when I'm ready to pot them up, that's usually when they can head out to the greenhouse. Lots more space out there. Also, it helps me not waste. It's not a waste of soil, I guess, because you can reuse the soil if the seeds don't germinate in a specific pot. You can, you know, start seeds again in that same soil if you want to. But for me, it's like, well, if I have, you know, 5 cells out of 72 or 10 cells out of 72, sometimes I have a poor germination rate, not to make it, then I don't have those extra pots sitting there taking up space and using up soil that it's not necessary. And I enjoy that part of the process. That is a part. It doesn't seem like an inconvenience to me to repot stuff. I find that like kind of therapeutic.
Are you going to try soil blocking at all this year?
Oh, no. No. I don't know why. There's certain things, it's just not me. There's plenty of other people who do it, if that's something that interests you.
The funny thing is that it feels like you're somehow like, repulsed is the wrong word, but like that whenever that topic is brought up, you're like, no. Like you really don't want a soil block.
Really?
Like not only are you not interested, you're like anti-interested, if that makes sense.
No, that's not true. There's plenty of people. I follow, it's a Gardener's Workshop. Is that right? I think that's right. And she does a bunch of information on growing cut flowers for selling, which is kind of not my lane really, but they do soil blocking a lot in their stuff. So, and I think they find it very easy and, you know, less use of plastic and all of that stuff. But my plastic, I reuse it every single year. So it's not like...
It's not single-use plastic.
Yeah, I don't feel checked about that whatsoever, my plastic usage. Anyway, yeah, it's totally great if that's something you like to do, and there's lots of information on that out there. It's just not something I'm into at this point. I might try it at some point. But again, you have to do your mix. You have to do a soil mix sometimes.
Oh.
Most of the time, people have a specific mix.
You can't just use like a regular seed starting
I think people
mix.
try, but I think it falls apart a lot easier
Crumbles.
because seed starting mix is a little bit lighter and it doesn't hold that form like a soil blocking mix would. I don't know, maybe I'd try it and be like, why haven't I been doing this?
I know that is kind of how I feel, because you sometimes are like, you'll kind of push back on things. Like, remember Hoselink was one of those things.
Yeah.
That you, at first, you're kind of like, no.
What was the plastic shroud? I'm like, I don't want that in my garden. Ew.
And honestly, if you could find a way to make that go away and not see that, that'd be awesome.
I would love that.
If you could get the same functionality. I wonder if there's a way to like...
They need to have it on this. They need to have it to where it can be sideways instead of upward so that you don't see that whole side. Instead,
Yeah.
you're seeing like smaller sides.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Or-
It's not 100% ideal, but I'll take it over having a regular hose.
You know what I would love is if you could, and nobody would buy this. We would buy it. But if you could get the same thing that you can insert in the ground.
Oh.
So like you dig a little hole.
Yeah.
And then it comes out of just a hole in the ground. And you basically just have a hose sticking up. And that
You'd
little
have
ball.
to have guiders all around it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you could have like little balls on the outside that, like rollers.
Oh, yeah.
That help you roll
your
like
rope.
any direction.
But then you think about all the moisture that gets into it, especially in areas that get a ton of rain.
Yeah.
There's, pros and cons to every single
Could work
thing.
here. It wouldn't. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody would buy it because it's not practical. But I think it actually would work for us. Also, who wants to Who wants to dig a giant hole in the ground?
Right.
To put some manner of like hose inside of it.
If there was one that had no problems and no moisture issues, I would do it.
Yeah.
I would dig holes every single
Oh,
day of the
yeah.
week to hide hoses.
Yeah.
For sure, but they are so convenient. And yeah, that's true. That's one of those things that just had to try it.
Hose link isn't like the final form though, like
Right.
it's better than just a hose coiled on the ground, but there's absolutely improvements that can be made.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things that you have to keep your head on a swivel and like be looking for the next thing that's you know could be better.
Okay, the next video was decking out the portico and balcony for Christmas. That was fun.
I like the red balls.
I do too. They are so pretty and it's just so striking, and it wasn't too much work in terms of like gathering supplies and things like that. I had pretty much everything on hand. So we did a couple of containers with Christmas trees and warm colored lights, and I used icicle lights in the trees. It was actually kind of a light bulb moment when I started putting them in. I thought this is going to be such a wreck putting in icicles, but I kind of tucked the header into the interior of the tree, and then you're just left with all of these strands coming straight out. You can just like wrap them in each branch. It's so much easier than going in and out and in with the same strand. Might do that more.
And why did you have to use icicle lights?
Because that's all we had left, and then we sold out at the store.
Yeah.
So we had no warm white lights. I went down, and Ken was like, let me check the inventory. Yep, it looks like we have 50. And we went over to the rack, and he was like, this isn't right. It was like a tiny little bit left, and there was pending orders still.
Oh.
So anyway, I didn't take any. So icicle lights it was, and it worked out great. And then I did pick up some cheap red ball ornaments, and we put those in those trees, and I just think it's so pretty. And I cannot move away just from that bright red
It's classic.
It's classic, and it's bright, like it shows up. And
Yeah.
in the wintertime, I mean, we've been in the middle of an inversion right now that's just kind of like, I was starting to feel a little claustrophobic yesterday. Like, I just need to see the sky. It's just a foggy, like thick frost
Yeah.
sort of situation out there. In fact, even though it looks like that, I need to do some maintenance in the pond. Might get in there today. I've kind of been putting it off. In fact, yesterday we took the day off, and it was fun. We went downtown in our little town and shopped at some local places, and then we took my parents out and the kids out for lunch. Then we went and saw Moana 2, came home, made a fire. It was just like a really nice day. We took that day off. And we might do that a little bit more. We've talked about taking Wednesdays off from posting in December and January, just because it can be difficult to get out. And I feel like I used to be more like, nope, I'm going to get out there in the cold and do this thing. Feeling a little more tender these days. Like, I don't know if it's really worth that. The kids are so, like, it's such a fun time right now, their ages.
Yeah.
And we could be doing some fun things. I don't know. And you guys are always so great. Like, I know there'll be comments from you guys below this video saying, do it. The time, it's worth it to spend time with your kids that way. So it just feels weird because we've kept the same kind of momentum for so long that it feels like I don't want to veer from that either, because that work and making video, that fulfills me.
Sure.
So, and it always has, not just making videos, but just work in general. I like to work, and it makes me feel good. It's kind of like working out. It makes me feel good when I work out. Do I do that enough? No. But work I can sustain.
Yeah.
I can do that every day, and it makes me feel good. So I think it almost makes me a better parent, too, because I'm feeling fulfilled that way. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a better person when I stay really busy. So anyway, Mary Drew said, the big question I have is how many exterior strands of lights do Paul and Bethany have at their respective homes? Paul, 0. I think that he would be happy to never string up another strand of Christmas lights.
Probably.
A pretty good sport about it. But yeah, he does not enjoy putting out Christmas lights. Bethany, though, and she told me, wait until I have my show done. We gave away a bunch of our old lights. Like, I don't know how many tubs did we give away. She sent me a picture. She did like a red, white, and blue fence line, like really far. I was like, oh, I'm going to come drive by. And she told me, wait, I'm not done. So I think she's putting up a bunch. And I think a bunch of people at the warehouse took lights.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. I don't know how many strands, though, she's put up. I'll have to ask her. Carly said, do you consider the portico your front porch? I can't tell. Not really. The front porch is the porch on the old side of the house. That is technically the front entrance.
Yeah.
Do people use it? No.
Well, there's kind of the front entrance for the old side of the house and the front entrance for the new side of the house, the addition. And the portico is the addition, or is the front entrance for the new. I mean,
it doesn't open into like a not a hallway, an entryway. Like it opens right to our couch in our great room.
But you could organize it better. I mean, we could organize our furniture better, and we could also maybe change. Like if you swapped the door out for a front, like
it needs to be swapped.
A door that looks like a front door.
Yeah.
It could absolutely pass. And at one time, people were driving through what we call a Versailles or Persephone Garden, and like parking in that area as well. So it could be a front of the house.
Yeah. We keep talking about, we really want to get new furniture in the great room. Both of us do. I think our stuff is comfortable, but it's like we've had to repair legs on it. It's not expensive. It was like the cheapest set.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the look of it.
And after having kids too,
and
all your furniture, even if it's nice furniture, turns into...
Here's the thing though. In order to get new furniture, we need to get new carpet. In order to get new carpet, we need to fix that fireplace. So we need to reface the fireplace, and at that time get new carpet or whatever we're going to do there.
That's the thing, is we don't want new carpet. We want wood floor, and we don't want to get like a cheap wood floor, and it spills into the kitchen. Which
then meets up with the landing stairs, which is the hardwood from the old side of the house, which Erin hates, and I don't mind it at all. It's a thinner plank hardwood floor, and it's kind of it's got an orangey...
It's got an 80s look to it.
I like it. I think it's pretty. But, I mean, if I were to pick out my color of floor, I don't know. It's tough because I love, like, the color of my parents' floor. Mm-hmm. We did a custom stain. My mom and I spent a bunch of time mixing stains and trying to figure out the perfect color. And it is very pretty, but I feel like our color hides stuff a little bit better than that darker tone. And I don't know.
That's just true in general. I think that's why everybody's doing the lighter floors now.
Yeah.
It's
It's kind of like our countertops. Like, yes, I would love, we went and looked at, I don't even know what year that was. We thought about just swapping out our countertops. Mm-hmm. We've got black granite and it's got a bunch of, detail in it, but it hides everything to the point where, I wipe it down, but if I miss stuff, I mean, you can't see it, but you put your hands down and you're like, gross. But it's very convenient in that you don't see all of the gross stuff. Yeah. At a glance anyway. Lots of things. I don't mind putting carpet back in that room for now, though.
Maybe that's what we should do. It just, I think you and I have such a hard time. It feels like throwing your money away because it's not the final thing that you want. And so. But
then you kind of think, well, when are we going to do the whole project to do the final look? Is it going to be 10 years down the road? Because in that case, I'd really like some nicer non-stained carpet for that 10 years, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
In the end, who cares? You know? Like, it's fine. It's functional.
We just keep ripping up stuff outside.
Yeah. It's great. Elsa said, I'm surprised that you're using artificial trees. I remember in the beginning you said no artificial plants. What happened? But it looks beautiful. I have never said that regarding Christmas trees, but all other artificial plants, I've kind of I see the merit of some of them, and some look pretty convincing at this point. I still don't care for artificial plants all that much. When people put them in pots and
what are you have you been against artificial plants at one point? I thought you were always kind of indifferent to artificial plants.
No, I mean, I've never been really strong one way or the other, but my personal preference is to have real house plants, even though I kill real house plants. I probably should have artificial house plants. But I don't know. I feel like they get dustier somehow, and they just maybe through the years they just haven't looked good enough or convincing enough to make it worth it.
Yeah.
To get those. But now they've got some pretty good ones out there. I did buy some faux tulips. Remember those?
Yeah.
And those looked really real. I was surprised. So I've done that.
You're either going to have to water your plants or wash your plants. One of the two.
True. Artificial Christmas trees, though, I've never been against those. Well, not during YouTube days. When we got married, I grew up with a real tree every single year, and it seemed like not the thing to do to have an artificial tree. So I think the first 1 or 2 years we were married, we did a real tree. And then I started to think about how much I did not like to water the tree 2 or 3 times a day, and the mess that it left when we were done, and it just was a huge, big old hassle. So I switched to artificial tree, and I would never, I don't think, look back. Although I was looking at those really big space when we were down at the garden center for a different video. I think it was the one after this. They've got the noble firs that had not been trimmed, and they're very architectural and open. And I thought, oh, that would be a fun one to do one day, and maybe we will. Maybe we'll try that out. Irma said, "Simply beautiful, Laura. Thank you. Love the Christmas trees in the pots. I was wondering about the garland you bought at Home Depot. Is it fresh or artificial?" That is fresh. It's the cedar garland. They sell it for $24.98, I think was the tag, for a 15-foot piece. And we usually buy 4 of them every year. I use 3 of them on the balcony. I used a little piece above the door. Well, I guess 4 to 5, depending on if I'm going all the way around the great room doors. And then I've got 1 piece left that I'm going to use over the kitchen door. I just haven't popped that up there yet. Cheryl said those benches are super cute. Where did they come from? Or where did you find them? Plow and Hearth. I think my parents have those too, down at the garden center, but Plow and Hearth is where those originally came from. Isabel said, "Why are your outdoor lights always on during the day? I hate to see the waste of electricity."
Well, they're LED.
Yeah, they're not taking up much electricity.
I like the look of them on during the day.
I do too. It seems sad. It seems sad when, especially at night. There's a lot of houses that don't have lights on.
I do not understand that.
I don't either. I'm like, that is so depressing.
You get a little upset with me because I mention it every single time. I'm like, do they not know that it deters robberies if you have more lights on your house? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense how people keep it so dark.
Yeah. Corinne said, "I love the way you've decorated the porch. I think the scale of the trees is perfect with the height of the doors. How often have you stood up on the deck and marveled at all the land and progress you and Erin have accomplished?" How often do we stand up on that deck, Erin? Once a year when I decorate it for Christmas. Maybe.
We never get on that deck.
We never get on the balcony. It's one of those spaces that once it warms up, even a little bit in the spring, it bakes on that balcony. It is so hot and so uncomfortable. Ugh. And it's always one of those spaces that's a little bit neglected, so things aren't super clean on it, and the furniture, we'll clean it a few times a season, but you know how it goes. You get one windstorm and everything is covered in dust, and then I don't want to go out there and sit on the furniture, and then you have to walk through a bedroom and you track stuff through. It's just, nah. It's not 100% ideal. I do remember when we didn't own the house and our friends did, and we would go up onto the balcony and watch the fireworks.
Yeah, that was when the locusts were a little smaller.
Yeah. Now we sit out on the driveway right outside Versailles, and you can see our city's firework display right there. It's just phenomenal. You don't have to deal with the crowds, or parking or any of that, and you can see all the fireworks. It's wonderful. Okay, next video is decorating the mantle and setting up the most beautiful nativity. That project.
Nativity.
I will say it that way until the day I die.
I saw one comment of somebody asking, "Wait, what?"
Well, we were discussing it at lunch. We're like, how do you pronounce nativity? Is it nativity or nativity? Nativity. It's regional.
Or just Laura.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, it is the most beautiful nativity, and one of you guys sent it out to us, and I was shocked when I opened that box. And
it's a cool set.
It is the most beautiful thing ever. My mom picked one up. At the time she bought it, it was $350, and it was a stretch back then. I don't remember what year that was, but I remember her being like, okay, I love this set, and I know I'm going to love it forever, but that's a lot of money to spend on a nativity set. But she did it and has enjoyed it and not regretted it one time since she bought it. But now it's worth $2,000.
Well, yeah, I think somebody posted that it was on eBay. The whole thing was maybe $1,300 or $1,500 or something like that. But I mean, that's not that far off from $2,000.
I mean, expensive. And what an amazing gift. I was just like that. Just shocked. So we set that up on a side table in the great room with some greens. It's just very simple. And I don't really feel like I need to add anything extra to it because it's so beautiful just in and of itself. And I thought about maybe tucking in some fairy lights in the greens, but I don't even think that's necessary. I think just letting those pieces just be it's beautiful. And then for the mantle, I bought 2 Christmas trees. And in fact, I think that's where we started the video, was down at the garden center picking those out. And I loved it because we're using the tops. I did say, and I don't know if it made it in here, but somebody was like, what a waste. Can't believe you just buy the trees for the top. I'm using all the bottom pieces, and I mentioned that in the video. I swear people sometimes don't listen.
Maybe we should have included more footage of you like cutting the branches off.
Well, I didn't. I didn't cut I kept them intact because they stay nicer until I use them for the project.
Oh, sure.
So I cut them like individually as I use them, and I've already used a bunch of greens off of one of the trees, and then I'm going to use a bunch of them for another project I'm going to work on. But anyway, it was fun picking those out and getting those on the mantle. And I did something extremely similar, I want to say similar or the same, a few years ago on the mantle, and it's been my favorite mantle that we've ever done because it looks so old-fashioned and cozy, and it's simple. And you get that fresh cut Christmas tree smell without like having it be the main event, like the main tree in your room. So if one of them dries out, like, you know, that's a bummer, but it's not like it's your whole big tree and you're sitting next to a dried out tree on Christmas morning, you know? So that was just it ended up being really fun. I finished that late in the evening. Remember, I was like, I gotta get this.
Yeah.
I gotta get this done. Filming inside is really difficult too, so I do apologize. Like a few of our videos this week have been inside, and our camera quality is it's not good inside, just the way it is. We haven't kind of figured out that.
Yeah, I mean, I could fix it right away if I just gave you a little bit of a bigger camera for inside videos.
It just makes it harder and more clunky, and they're
Yeah.
way more expensive to replace if something were to happen to it. Anyway, Melissa said, beautiful home decor. What do you use to condition or dust your real wood furniture? We have a 100-year-old dresser that needs a little TLC. Pledge. Pledge. Lemon. I do have some wood oil too. I cannot remember the name. There's like is it like Minwax? Is that a brand?
Mm-hmm.
Am I remembering that right? It's like a wax kind of thing. Anyway, none of my pieces are like super expensive. A lot of them had little dings and scratches and things like that. So I got pretty good deals on everything. I mean, we still keep them clean and dusted and things like that, but I'm not like super fussy. I have one table in the landing that was probably one of the more expensive pieces. And then our dining room table, which I waited forever to buy because I bought it from Restoration Hardware. And if you've ever looked at their stuff's expensive. So I waited till there was a sale, and I waited like 5 years to buy that table. I just kept looking at it, and I kept shopping thinking I could find something very similar, and I just couldn't. So finally you were like, just buy the table, just buy it. And I'm so glad that I did.
You've been wanting something that long. It's probably similar to like your mom with the nativity set.
Uh-huh.
You know, you get to the point where it's like, it's just, if you've been wanting it, get it.
Get it.
Even if it's a little bit more than.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not suggesting anybody should go into debt for things
don't
like
do
that.
Yeah. Nicole said the nativity is beautiful. On one of your tour videos a few years ago, you showed a Santa that you were starting your collection with. Would you share where you got the Santa? I would love to start my collection with that one as well. I don't know. I probably got it at like TJ Maxx or Marshall's or some like kind of discount store, maybe at an antique shop. I've put out one Santa. Actually, the kids put out one Santa. I kind of pared down. I say I pared down. We've got like 6 Christmas trees up. But in terms of like tabletop decor, I haven't done a lot of it, and I don't think I'm going to, because here we are, like we're in the first week of December, and I just want to enjoy, and I don't want to like to keep dragging stuff out just because I have it. And I think every year you can just like do something little different things. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like I enjoy it more, and then the house doesn't feel like so much stuff in it. I feel a lot more relaxed about most things these days.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is, and I want it to be pleasant.
Maybe kids will do that to you.
Maybe.
Because it, like kids force you to not be able to like have things the way you want them to be.
Oh, true. Especially with how festive our kids are. Oh my gosh, they want in on everything, which is great. until I get it's my great room tree mostly. Because the great room tree has super precious and super breakable and super expensive ornaments on it. So what I did on that one is I told them, okay, so I need to go through and organize and see what I've got. And then I'm going to I always do the tops of the trees anyway. So I don't think they're going to break any. They're not at that age where they're going to take them off and, haul them around the house. They'll leave them alone, but I'm just afraid that they won't get put on quite tight enough or whatever. So I just make sure that I do those things first, and then I leave them a pile. And I do shift things. I'm not like Samantha. She was helping us decorate the vintage Christmas tree in the kitchen, and there were about 5 ornaments on the same branch. Yeah. I'm not going to leave it that way, and she won't remember. She doesn't care.
She just wants to be involved.
She just had fun putting them on, and then when they go to bed, I'm like, just move these things around a little bit, and they will not notice, and they never have. It's just fun in the middle of the project, and then I don't feel stressed because I know I will fix it the way I like it. I do not do that, though, with the tree in Benjamin's room. Samantha's room is really not set up. She's never in there except for to sleep. They do play in Benjamin's room, though. So she's got a little pink tree and a little Christmas snow globe on her table in her room, but she doesn't have a full-on size full tree. In Benjamin's room, we do have a tree. He's got a little more room in there. And I think you helped him set the whole thing up, and I haven't touched it. It looks perfect the way it is. And I could tell you tried to get ornaments in the interior of the tree. Yeah. He's been learning and listening. It's super cute. HT12WQ said, Merry Christmas. You mentioned Christmas tree growers shearing the trees. Could you explain the process? There's videos out there. Show them with like machetes. And I don't know if there's probably machines that do it too, but people will go through and just cut the branches, and it just helps thicken everything up. Yeah. Instead of letting the branches be long and individual, it's kind of like when you trim a leader off of a tree. Mm-hmm. You trim a tree and then it thickens up. Carolina said it's all looking very Christmassy and beautiful. Why is Jesus' head hanging upside down? Is it supposed to be like that, or did it twist in the box? It twisted in the box, and I did not notice until you guys pointed it out. I think I was in such a fluster trying to get everything done and trying to find things. It was just, I couldn't find anything that day. It was the weirdest thing. And I just set it up, did not notice, but I did fix it. And I posted a picture the next day that he's like not free floating. I don't know. He's not attached to her. So you can pick him up and move him around so that he's positioned correctly. Park City PJ said, how do you plug the mantle lamps in? It's hard to tell you've masked it well. Good. I'm glad to hear that, because the plug-in's down on the floor level on the right-hand side of the fireplace, and I put a brown extension cord. It goes up the side of the fireplace and then over, and then there's just a menagerie of cords up there, and I just try to tuck them back and down as much as I can. Usually I have so much junk up there you can't really see. Art of distraction. If we redid that, I probably would ask to have a couple of outlets, one on either side. Would be so handy. Yeah Patricia said, are you sure that isn't the blue they call most flowers? Because we did go down to the warehouse that day. Yeah. No, it's purple. It's purple. I think the warehouse can be a little bit dark at times, and that can throw the color off from the camera. Talk about lighting efficiency. So they're all motion activated lights. So if you're in a part of the warehouse that you haven't been in a while, then the lights just flip off after a certain amount of time. So anyway, that's why it stays a little darker, except for the areas right around where you're working. But yeah, it's purple. Yeah, it is. It did come across blue in the video though, or blue-ish. Yeah. I think Samantha, did she have something purple on? She had something blue on. Did she? And then you could tell. Yeah. You're like, oh, that's a blue sweatshirt or whatever it was that she was wearing. And you could tell the difference. But yeah, it was funny. We should have though. Actually, that would have been kind of a funny thing. The blue hasn't been like that great of a seller, but what we should have done is just rebranded it. Industry purple. As purple, yeah. Industry purple. Yeah. Garden purple. Yeah. And then maybe people would have bought it. Maybe. Lorna Pope said, what tree in the house are the gifts left under? I'm guessing the great room tree. Yes, that is the one. That's the most space too, so we can kind of spread out a little bit. Tammy Bailey said, do you have a TV or do you watch TV? We do have several TVs, but I feel like we use our phones the most because we don't have a TV in the great room. There's not a good wall for a TV. It's all windows and doors. And then the great room, or the fireplace wall rather, has 2 French doors leading to other areas of the house. And the fireplace is so high that if we put a TV, we brought a TV in there. We brought it in there once. I remember we had to lash it to the fireplace so it didn't fall forward. Maybe that's what we need to do, is just put a couple hooks in the ceiling and get a portable projector kind of a thing. Projectors have never...
maybe they work. I don't know. Every time I've ever seen one, they always looked washed out to me. They never look like rich, like a real
Sure.
TV. But yeah, I do wish that we had not a TV in the great room necessarily, but I wish we had a TV so that when people come over to watch like football games and stuff, because I feel like when you invite people over, they're not going to stay unless you offer them food or like entertainment. And like, I love watching games on Sundays and Monday nights and stuff like that.
Which is so
we just don't have a spot where you can have like 8 people and watch a game.
That's so funny that you kind of think that way, because that is not how either of our families do it. When we get together, we visit. We rarely have the TV on, like watching something specific.
Yeah, but
we're visiting, we're playing games, we're eating dinners together, we're having a fire outside.
Yeah.
Like all of those things, I think we have different perspectives on
I would
enjoy.
like to do it more.
Sure.
So I
Which
think
makes
that's
sense.
the problem is that, and the reason it doesn't happen more is because none of our families have a spot where you can all watch a game. So we never
for
actually.
a reason. It makes you visit with each other.
But like, I kind of hate that. Like, I'm texting my dad and saying like, "Did you see that catch?" You know what I mean? Like, why can't you be in the same? Why can't you enjoy it together?
Yeah.
It's like we have to do it in our own homes because none of us have enough space to where we could do it together.
Yeah, none of us have like a great setup.
Nobody does.
For that.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me. And I think it doesn't bother you because we don't
No.
have it, but it's the lack of that thing that bothers me.
Oh.
And we would do it if we had it, I think. But you
I
don't like
wouldn't.
football, and so to you, I can
I
tell
don't
it's
not like football. I just don't. Like, I like the sound of it on, and it's always been kind of like that cozy feel, you
Yeah.
know, that sound. But, like, I don't care to watch it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I like to watch it.
Yeah. Susan said, how do you keep the greens from making your wood furniture sticky? I've never had them make my furniture sticky. I've never had that problem. I never even thought about it because it's never happened. Suppose you could put a runner down, or I do underneath the clove orange pomanders. If they're sitting, like I put one on top of a book, and I put a little piece of saran wrap under it. Because sometimes those clove oranges will rot.
Do you think it's dry enough here that,
Maybe.
that it doesn't become an issue?
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I've never had that happen. The next video is making big wreaths for our front gate, which I loved that project because I love anything to do with that gate. It's been one of the best things that we have put in. It's beautiful, and it's so not functional. It's solving a problem.
Yeah.
I guess. So I just really, really like it. And I think the wreaths turned out pretty. I had to go to Joann's to get 24-inch wreath forms. I was thankful they had them because it ended up being the perfect size. And then I just made them pretty simple out of silver fir tips and incense cedar. They ended up being about 12 pounds a piece. One of them was a slightly over and one was right at 12 pounds. And then big red velvet bows. Very simple and striking, and they've been heavily frosted. And the bows are still like keeping their form. Looking really pretty. Jordan said, did you say mayonnaise? Yes, I did. So when you get sap on your hands, you can use mayonnaise to get it off. It comes right off, and I always have mayonnaise in the fridge. I think you can use, everyone always suggests hand sanitizer. I'm not sure I've ever bought hand sanitizer in my life. And there was something else that you could use, and is it rubbing alcohol or something like that? I assume that would dry your hands out really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mayonnaise works really good. Then you just use some really well, and then you use some dish soap or whatever to wash your hands afterward, and clean as a whistle. I didn't do that though. I just let it wear off. Just typically what I do. Comes off in a shower or two. Next question is from the Maynard. Said, what a great project and festive look. It's such a great community effort for your mom and sister to offer the wreath making class. Could you do one wreath for the gate next year that is split in half, which allows the gate to open but looks like a wreath when it's closed? It could be double the size of these. Somebody said use pool noodles.
Oh,
And
sure.
you could spray paint them, and then
Yeah.
you could do 2 half wreaths so that they can come together and
Yeah.
look like one. That'd be a
That could
fun
work.
project. Yeah.
I like 2 though. I think
Yeah.
it looks good the way you did it.
Well, I think we could try something new every year and see
Yeah.
what sticks. Or, yeah. Sue Jones said, what weight of wire do you recommend for the wreaths? I think typically like a 24 gauge. Mine, though, that I bought was a little bit heavier duty, and I actually liked that quite a lot.
20.
Maybe. Yeah, but it's right around in there. Low 20s gauge. And getting it on a rounded paddle instead of something different is really nice. I've seen them in like rolls. They come off in rolls, and that's a little bit harder to deal with. Sophie said, your videos have really inspired me over the years. Bit of a random question, but if you had endless opportunities to buy land around you, how big of a planted garden, as opposed to pasture or woodland, do you think you would want to be able to manage? Nothing larger than we have now, I don't think.
What would you say, like probably 10 acres max?
Of an actual garden?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
5, 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you were to
including lawn.
If you were to condense all the flower bed areas, I don't know how many acres that would be, but that's about right. Like the borders around the dirt lands, I consider a garden because it will be after some time. Like the borders around this lawn, I don't really consider the lawn part of it, I guess, because I'm not the one maintaining it, you are. But we do think to the future. We talk about, okay, what do we want to maintain in the future? What kind of help will we need to retain after retire someday? Are we going to be able to like meet goals, to where we can maintain that sort of help around here? Or, are we going to want to do that? Are we going to, want to be able to pare it back? So we talk through those things and try to make decisions based on like reality, I guess, in the end.
The way I look at it is like in the future, if we decided to, pare things back, like to get less work, I feel like you can just rip out so many of the perennials.
Yeah.
And the tree maintenance is not as big of a deal. But if you just kind of hold on to all the, shrubs, the large shrubs and the trees, and then just do as many perennials as you want to, I still think you could have a really pretty property.
Oh, yeah.
Just with, because don't you think like most shrubs are fairly
low maintenance?
Low maintenance.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We just wouldn't be doing as many annuals, and then you'd pare back the perennials.
Yeah.
Pretty
or
big
just
time.
use like sedum,
Yeah.
Russian sage, things that just don't need maintenance.
But I guess, the weeding part would be a pain in the butt. I don't know about that. Hopefully there's a neighbor boy that would want.
Yeah. A young neighbor boy who wants to. Okay. Nisi said, this may be a dumb question, but do we need to put any water on these? I bought my first non-artificial wreath, and I'm wondering if we should spray it with water. I've never done that. I think some people do. Some people spray their natural Christmas tree, too, before they bring it in. It kind of helps remove dust, but it also kind of hydrates the tree a little bit before they bring it in, let it kind of dry outside, and yeah. But I've never done that. There is a spray called Wilt Stop. It's like a pine resin, and it kind of coats the needles, and it does help with drying out. So you could do that. It does have a fairly strong smell, so it's not something I'd probably use on anything I'm going to put inside the house, but outside garlands and wreaths, you could absolutely do that. I've done it a little bit, and I notice a little difference, but not enough to make it worth using all the time, I don't think. Okay, last group of questions is from the recap video from last week. Ria said, a question from France. I like your videos all the time. Must be a huge job. My question is, do you have an index of all your subjects so the viewers can easily find the subject they are looking for? I don't think we do, right?
It's not how we make videos.
It's like by year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, our playlists are by year. They're just not, they're not informational enough.
Sure.
To really index that way.
Well, and usually, like, I do primarily vlogs of whatever I'm getting done in the day, and that could be just a couple projects. It could be 3 to 5 things that I'm doing that day, and it's really hard to like title it that way or make it to where.
YouTube's pretty good though. If you just search garden answer and then insert whatever topic you want, they're pretty good about bringing up videos related to that. So if you want to see Laura talking about a certain thing, just go to YouTube, type in garden answer,
you might be able to
and
find
then fill
it.
in blank.
BLSMI said, if I wanted to use the green stalks for seed starting inside, how would I go about getting grow lights on them? You could use, there's like lamp style grow lights, and you can point them at the green stalk, but you would need to rotate it unless you've got lights all the way around it. So, rotate it every day so that each side is getting light. It might be a little bit hard. Unless you've got like one side that's facing a south or a west window and the other side's got the grow light, that would probably be the most ideal situation. That way you could just, the sides don't have to wait as long to get light. Sandra said, you mentioned caring for the Christmas cactus when you worked at the garden center. Would you use a regular cacti fertilizer or something different? I use the, do I have some? I do. Let me show you. I use this one right here. It's a cactus and succulent plant food. It's a liquid. It's always worked really well for me. Elaine said, would you comment on your artificial Christmas trees? Is there a big difference between your Balsam Hill trees versus your Home Depot trees? I would like to upgrade our Christmas tree, and I wonder if Balsam Hill's worth the investment. I don't know. Jury is out on that one for me, because I've bought 3 Balsam Hill trees over the years. I bought the Biltmore spruce, which I do love the shape of that one, and I like the way the branches look. Once you get your ornaments on, though, it's kind of like, can you really tell? No. The lights stop working just like they do on the cheaper trees, and it is a pain to get replacements. I bought another Biltmore spruce, same exact size, thankfully, because I've had to swap parts out. So I've got like one tree sitting in boxes that I've got 2 parts that are not functioning properly. And I don't even think you can actually order those specific lights. I don't know if you have to order a specific section. I should call them. I don't know. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to call a company and request, like, just make it to where we can buy your lights on your website. We bought this super expensive tree from you. Make it to where we can use it from year to year and get lights that match, you know, the bottom half of the tree that's still working, but the top isn't. And even mine in the great room, if you wiggle a certain branch, the lights get dim.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's starting to go out, and I haven't had them all that long. So like quality, I don't really feel like there's a huge difference in quality. If you like the shape of something, which is the original reason why I bought that Biltmore spruce, I thought this is my answer. It's got the right shape that I like. It's just, I don't know. And then I did buy that Sanibel spruce for the Hartley. That's a gorgeous tree. And it's been 2 years, I think, with that one. So far, the lights are still working on the whole thing. When I first get it out of the box, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like gray-green. But by the time it's decorated and you see it at night, there's something about that gray-green that just, I don't think I'd want that in our great room. But it's gorgeous in the greenhouse, and it's so sparkly. But I don't know if it's worth it. I bought them all on sale. I don't ever pay full price for them, but they're still expensive even on sale. So I was shopping for some more skinny trees this year because I've been using the $49. They were $49 when I bought them years ago. The real narrow, like 2 foot at the bottom trees, pencil trees from, did I say Walmart? Anyway, years ago. And I wanted to upgrade the look of those a little bit because there was a lot of real fake looking branches, and I can see those do kind of pop out. So I bought a couple from Home Depot, and they were like $1.99 a piece, and they're great. Like, I like the shape of them, and I think they look pretty realistic in their branching. So I think there's some people who swear by the Balsam Hills, and I just don't know that I'm one of them at this point. I feel like if you spend that much on a tree, you should be able to get lights that match it.
Sure.
That's kind of like the whole grow light situation. And when people won't share the right information, so you have to keep buying from them, or like it just makes you kind of stuck, you know. Fish and Rod said, would you have paid around $400 for a sphere if you could have found one like the one you made? Just curious.
Well, you know, you can't really transport something that size, so you'd have to put it together.
Unless they could make them collapsible with like the lights worked in somehow to where like when you undo it, it kind of like spreads out in a net sort of fashion. I
guess I just have a hard time like imagining that you could buy something like that for $400 and like get it to maybe if it was all, you know, put together and I didn't have to do any of the work myself, maybe. But also it's kind of like part of the fun of like we trying something out. And
we created that.
Going to Home Depot and trying to figure out, okay, if we put this together, does this work? And, you know, what if we zip tie this? And so I don't know.
Shelley said, Erin from The Impatient Gardener mentions you occasionally. Are there any other creators you enjoy watching? I really like Erin from The Impatient Gardener. There are several influencers that I really respect and like, especially usually the ones that have their own, like they stay in their lane. They do things the way they want to do them, and you can tell their own unique style. I love that. But to be quite honest, I don't follow anybody very, very closely because I don't watch a tremendous amount of videos because I feel like it can kind of sway what I do in mine. I think that's just natural. Like, oh, they're planting bulbs. I need to be planting bulbs. I feel late in planting bulbs. It's like, no, I just need to pay attention to what's going on in my realm here and then just stay the course. And whenever I plant bulbs is when I'm going to plant bulbs, and I don't want to feel stressed about it. If that makes any kind of sense. So,
Yeah, like Kevin has done an awesome job with Epic Gardening.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like, kind of like captivating the type of audience that he has. I think that, I don't know, I think it's really impressive, like capturing that. urban gardener sort of, there's just so many people like that, that I feel like he gets all the beginners that are wanting to start like growing seeds and grow a little vegetable garden and grow a little raised bed for the first time. And I feel like that was maybe one of the reasons he had so much success with his online store doing those Birdies Raised Beds.
Yeah.
Because like that was his demographic, is the people that are like, I'm going to do a raised bed for the first time. And so, you know,
Watching me for that is probably not as good as it is with Kevin.
Yeah, maybe not.
He's way more educational too. Like he dives a little bit deeper into things and makes things more like searchable. Like there's more evergreen content out there in his channel. There's not in mine, because that's just not how we do things. We do some that are pointed.
Yeah, his is more educational, less vlog.
Yeah.
You know, but to each their own.
Yeah, and Erin's got a very specific gardening style. It's like cottage, but like gorgeous. And she tries out some really interesting things, like her chive hedge, you know, things like that. Like there's some really interesting things. And like people like M.I. Gardner, he's like super into the seeds and like sustainable stuff, and just really interesting. He's got his own niche. Yeah.
Yulia.
Yeah, Yulia is super sweet. And she's got a really great design sense, and she's just a super sweet person.
Yeah.
And that really is an attractive quality. Like that attracts viewers, I think. And that, Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love watching Claus, anything that he does. Claus Dalby, his gardening style is just absolutely gorgeous. And he also seems like a very sweet person. Like none of these, I mean, I've met and spent time with Kevin, but I've never like actually been with any of those other people like in real life, like met them.
Yeah.
Yet. Maybe we will one day, but anyway. Yep. And Jack Barnwell has a very distinct, it's like a Mackinac style of gardening, and it's really beautiful, and he's got some great ideas. We need to have him out.
Well, his wife's family's from Boise.
Boise, I think, yeah.
He comes out here occasionally.
Okay, Liz Kubal said, random question, but how did you start waking up so early? I remember you saying you used to be a morning person, but since having kids, you've been staying up later and sleeping until after 7. I'm in this boat now minus the kids, and I cannot for the life of me shift my body clock. I don't know. I feel like I'm all over the board now. I just don't sleep very well. I can't say I never really have. I got insomnia so badly when I was pregnant. Like, so bad. It was horrible. And now I get a good solid 5, maybe. I
don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
I get physically ill when I don't get my full 8.
Well, I could probably look better if I got, proper rest and all that stuff, but I can't force it. And I do feel better when I get up early in the morning. Like, was it 2 days ago? I was up at 4:20 or something like that. And I just got up and I made coffee, and it was 3 hours before one of the kids got up. Those 3 hours were pretty glorious. Like, it was just quiet, and I wasn't feeling tired yet. I was still feeling kind of awake. By the time the kids got up, I was kind of feeling like, oh, I could probably go take a nap, but I worked that whole day, I think. I don't know. I think my body clock just got kind of used to being a little bit more erratic, but I'll still stay up pretty late. Like the day I got up at 4:20, I think we went into bed at midnight-ish. So 4.5 hours or something like that. I wish I could be productive in those times.
Sure.
Like, if I could utilize all those times when I'm not sleeping for something, sometimes I'm productive. Like one morning I was up real early, I think it was 4, and I went through the whole kids' cabinet. Oh, yeah. And I had time I had everything spread out, and then I gave away a bunch of stuff that they will not even notice, they haven't noticed is gone. And I got rid of all the things that were broken or like random pieces that I don't even know what they belong to anymore. And I created their tubs. So Samantha has 2 tubs downstairs and Benjamin has 2 tubs downstairs, and just hauled a bunch of stuff up to the playroom. And I don't know, it was just really nice. So occasionally I can be productive.
Sure.
But if I could work on garden designs and stuff like that, it's just like, I don't even really enjoy sitting down and doing that. I just put it off, and hopefully we just pop some stuff in the ground and it looks good. Okay. Anita said, how are the hanging balls in the trees made? Those are made by 2 hanging baskets turned and zip tied to each other, and then just lights around them. Pretty easy to make those. A lot easier than the great big giant spheres for sure, but same kind of concept. And that's it, you guys, for this week's recap video. I don't think there's any special announcements or anything like that this week.
Nope.
Other than a huge thank you to everybody who bought stuff during our Black Friday sale.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
It was really great.
It was really great. Now we're going to try to restock the store, get it all restocked, and we'll have to get in more purple kneeling pads because that was a big color.
I saw we ran out of like Felco 2s, the Mesto sprayers, some of like the staples that.
Sure. Yeah. So we'll be working on that. Anyway, hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you in the next video.